Every parent is familiar with the situation in which her child demonstrates by his behavior that he is up past his bedtime. Some said that the child calms down, seems sleepy, falls asleep on his own, or asks directly or indirectly to go to bed. Other parents said that their child climbs the walls, is a crybaby, is nervous and unhappy with everything, doesn't respond to what he's told, or simply does annoying things. Clearly, young children react to tiredness in significantly different ways. A state of fatigue is not necessarily expressed by decreased activity and obvious sleepiness. Sometimes the symptoms can be just the opposite. Some of the typical negative behaviors of the tired child are compatible with general patterns that characterize behavior disorders. Evidence points to a strong correlation between sleep and the development of the child's personality traits. A baby who suffers from sleep disorders, difficulty falling asleep, or many awakenings during the night tends to be more difficult in other behavioral domains. The mothers of babies with sleep problems described them as more demanding, complaining, annoying, negatively sensitive to different stimuli, and difficult to adapt to different situations. Babies who suffer from hypersensitivity to sensory stimuli would tend to develop sleep difficulties. To fall asleep, the baby has to disassociate himself from the external environment and stop responding to people, noise, light, and temperature, and to disassociate from internal signals as well. This ability to disassociate is most critical for maintaining uninterrupted sleep and for preventing awakenings in response to various stimuli. A baby who is sensitive from birth to any internal or external stimulus will have trouble disassociating from environmental stimuli, which will interfere with his ability to relax and fall asleep easily. This will cause him to awaken easily and frequently over the course of the night. This correlation between sleep and behavior continues throughout later childhood. Actually, sleep disorders serve as a sensitive barometer of general adaptation problems among children and adults. Sleep disorders are a prominent sign of stress and anxiety, depression, and adaptation problems. Sleep problems are so prevalent in some behavior or emotional disorders that they have been included in diagnostic criteria. One factor that strengthens a diagnosis of anxiety disorders in a child is the presence of a sleep disorder. The close correlation between sleep disorders and behavior problems in children can be explained in a number of ways. Perhaps a child born with a tendency toward problematic behavior develops sleep problems. At the same time, it is reasonable to believe that significant sleep problems will lead to insufficient sleep or sleep deprivation, which may cause the child to be nervous, impatient, and harder to manage. In addition, a third cause, such as incompatible parenting patterns, may provoke or aggravate both behavior problems and sleep difficulties. Babies described as especially active and restless and are said to demand attention and seek stimuli constantly. Often parents associate their child's sleep difficulties with his wakeful restlessness. Although hyperactivity is diagnosed at a later age, there is evidence that most hyperactive children were overactive, restless babies, with difficult temperaments. More and more evidence demonstrates that lack of sleep may bring on behavior that resembles that of a hyperactive child. Tests used on infants to assess early mental abilities that could be considered components of intelligence have generally failed to predict intelligence or cognitive abilities and achievements in later ages. The research on the relation between sleep and intellectual development has been hampered by our limited capacity to assess intelligence in infants. Scientists found a correlation between sleep disorders in infancy, especially those that are caused by respiratory problems, and possible shortfalls in intellectual development and academic achievements at a later age. People who don't get enough sleep react more slowly and make more mistakes on tasks that demand attention and continuous concentration. Although the question of sleep and attention has not been directly studied in infants, some support for their correlation comes from indirect approaches. Similar to the results in studies of adults, they found that children whose quality of sleep deteriorated, as manifested by many or lengthy awakenings from sleep during the night, also had decreased attention abilities. Recent studies have shown that if normal children are requested to shorten their sleep for experimental purposes, they suffer negative consequences, and their learning and attention abilities are significantly compromised. On the basis of what we have learned about older children and adults, and from the limited information on infants, it is fair to conclude that the intellectual abilities of infants are challenged by disrupted or insufficient sleep. Click the link below for more information on how lack of sleep affects your baby's brain and personality. I hope you have enjoyed the video. Please remember to subscribe, hit the bell notification, like and share my video. In this way, you will get notified whenever I released a new video. Thanking you.